Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we live in a world literally overflowing with 2-hour motivational seminars and these dense 300-page self-help books. But what if the absolute best blueprint for achieving your goals was actually hidden in a simple stick figure animation? Today, we're focusing on how the absolute most minimalist concepts often carry the most profound weight. We're going to examine a piece of source material drawn from a deceptively simple animation, and we're going to unpack the pure brilliance hidden inside its brevity. It's raw, it's incredibly direct, and it just might completely change how you approach your biggest goals.
Okay, so here it is. This is the exact unedited 20-word quote sourced straight from the Clarity Mindset channel's animation. It simply reads, "Looking at your dream, reviewing it every day, and say to yourself, it's not over until I win." That is the entire foundation of our analysis up front. I want you to really let that sink in for a second. There is no flowery language here. There are no caveats, no complex conditions. It is just a raw, unfiltered instruction set. In a landscape where we constantly overcomplicate our ambitions, this quote cuts right through the noise with surgical precision.
We're going to dissect this into a quick 5-part roadmap. First, the clarity mindset. Second, visualizing the dream. Third, the daily review habit. Fourth, the winning declaration. And finally, stripping down motivation.
So Section 1, the clarity mindset. Finding profound meaning in the minimalist mindset.
Before we can really adopt this methodology, we've got to understand where it actually comes from, right? The source channel is literally named Clarity Mindset, and it defines this philosophy as a relentless daily focus on a singular winning outcome, completely stripped of all the fluff, distractions, and complexity. I mean, just think about the stick figure format itself for a minute. It is the absolute bare minimum required to recognize a human form. There are no elaborate wardrobes, no flashy backgrounds, and this mindset, it asks you to do the exact same thing with your ambitions. You've got to strip away the excuses, strip away the doubts, and leave only the essential lines of your goal.
Moving on to Section 2, visualizing the dream, the very first crucial step.
Now, the quote starts right off with, "looking at your dream." And the absolute crucial word here is looking. Notice it doesn't say having a dream or wishing for a dream. No, it demands an active, intentional act of visualization. Looking is a verb. It requires you to take your ambition off the back burner of your mind and put it smack in front of your eyes. Because let's face it, when you are actively looking at something, you just can't ignore it, can you? It takes up your whole immediate field of vision. So the source material is essentially telling us that the entire process of achievement begins by making your abstract dream a tangible, physical object of your daily focus. You literally have to clearly see the finish line before taking even the first step.
All right, Section 3, the daily review habit. Turning a static vision into a relentless routine.
This is where we actually transition from just a static vision into an unstoppable routine. The quote says, reviewing it every day. And I really want you to lean heavily into that phrase, every single day. The source material leaves absolutely zero room for days off, weekend breaks, or just kind of passively wishing. Think about it. When you review something, you are actively evaluating it, reconnecting with it, and reminding yourself exactly why it matters in the first place. By demanding that this happens every day, the quote transforms a quick, fleeting burst of motivation into an unbreakable habit. It forces you to confront your goal on the days you feel amazing, and honestly, more importantly, on the days you feel entirely defeated.
And this brilliantly illustrates how those two initial concepts work together as a team. On one side, we have the vision, looking at your dream. On the other side, we have the action, reviewing it every day. The looking part, that establishes the destination. It hands you the map. But reviewing it daily, that is what builds the mental endurance you actually need to travel the distance. The vision is the spark, but the action is the fuel keeping that fire burning. You absolutely cannot have one without the other if you're going to succeed within this clarity mindset framework.
Which brings us to Section 4, the winning declaration, the final defining anthem.
So you've got the vision, you've got the habit. But what happens when you inevitably hit a wall and face failure? Well, you need this ultimate verbal commitment. It's not over until I win. I want you to really feel the dramatic weight of that. Say it out loud to yourself right now if you can. It is not over until I win. This single phrase completely reframes the entire journey. It dictates that failure, rejection, setbacks, they are no longer stopping points. They are literally just temporary delays. By declaring that it is not over until you win, you are making victory the absolute only acceptable conclusion to your story. It completely removes quitting as an option. It takes the timeline right out of the equation. Whether it takes a week, a year, or 10 years, the duration doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that final outcome, winning.
Finally, Section 5, stripping down motivation, the stick figure metaphor.
Okay, so this is where we bring all of these disassembled pieces back together into a real, actionable playbook. We've mapped out those raw 20 words into a definitive, highly actionable 3-step procedure. And I really want you to memorize this process. Step 1, look at the dream. Define it with absolute clarity. Step 2, review it daily. Build that relentless, unstoppable habit. And step 3, tell yourself it's not over until you win. Just lock in that unyielding declaration. That is the whole playbook right there. You really don't need a massive, complicated manual to figure this out. You just need the discipline to execute these 3 distinct, sequential steps over and over and over again.
To kind of summarize the pure brilliance of this approach, it is inspired by the very basics of stick figure animation. It strips motivation completely down to its barest bones. It demands 0 distractions and absolutely 0 fluff from you. It requires you to operate with a pure clarity mindset, filtering out literally everything that doesn't actively serve your goal. And ultimately, it accepts only one thing: a winning outcome. When you strip away all the complicated advice and the background noise we deal with every day, you are left with this: the ultimate blueprint for human perseverance. So I'm going to leave you with this final, vital question to ask yourself right now. What dream are you reviewing today, and are you truly ready to look in the mirror and say, it's not over? The blueprint is right there, drawn out in the simplest lines possible. The rest of it? Well, that's entirely up to your daily routine. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Take this clarity mindset, apply those 3 steps, and go get that win.